Welcome to Seize the Mains by Raj Malhotra's IAS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and this is Season 3 of our Daily Answer Writing Initiative. This initiative runs from Monday to Saturday at 9 p.m. in coordination with our website, which is rajayasacademy.com. On the website, there is this mains answer writing section which has been fully allocated to the content that we discuss on Seize the Mains. So if you visit mains answer writing section, all the questions and model answers that have been discussed on Seize the Mains will appear there. Check them out, check out their explanations. This is a very beneficial section for your mains preparation for civil services examination. Most of the questions have been taken from current affairs and the directives, the way the model question has been framed. All the directives that have been used by UPSC, they have been taken into account. So if you are finding a problem with understanding what ways is the UPSC putting questions towards you, or how do you study current affairs so that you can adequately answer your mains paper, see, the more you practice, the better it gets. No single video on directives or on how to approach current affairs or mains answer writing can benefit you. It's a daily practice. You will have to build that skill day by day. Just solving one question with us on a daily basis, even just watching this video and reading the model answer on the website would help you immensely. Upon that, what we do is there is this comment section that has been fully allocated towards you. What you can do is write your own answers and post them on the website, and our team will evaluate those answers entirely free of cost, and they'll also respond with their feedback in the next few days. And this is entirely free of cost. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just write your answer from your comfort zones and post them on the website in the comment section, and you will get a notification as soon as you get a response from our team. The question for today would be with regards to urban planning. There have been disasters in Uttarakhand, and a big reason of that is the urban planning that happened in the hilly regions. A lot of floods are seen on an annual basis, droughts are seen on an annual basis. Due to climate change, the amount of water that we receive in various parts of the country, that is changing. Also, it has been estimated that the migration from rural to urban areas, that is stipulated to grow. So now India cannot move ahead with unplanned urbanization. We need to go ahead with urbanization in a very planned manner, and this planning has to be done in accordance with the geography of a particular place, taking into account climate change, taking into account resource availability. Unplanned urbanization cannot take place at all. So that's why day before yesterday there was this article in the Hindu newspaper, and urban planning was the main subject of it. So we have framed a question with regards to that, and this question will be unlike any of the questions that have been discussed on Seize the Mains earlier. So let's see how is it different. In the wake of recent disasters in India, establish the need of urban planning with examples. Answer in 150 words. See, what you need to do is, first of all, the keyword here is recent disasters in India. So recent disasters take into account the disasters that have happened in the previous 1 year. And 1 year is not the time that you can account for as recent when you're talking about disasters. So at least 2 to 5 years have to be taken into account, whether you talk about Kerala floods, whether you talk about the Joshimath disaster, or even the previous ones. Even in the past 1 decade, that disasters can also be taken into account if they all follow a common reason, if they erupt from a common reason. So yes, establish the need of urban planning with examples. So what you have to do is you have to basically highlight why urban planning is important, and you have to come up with examples to highlight its importance or to establish its need. Why is urban planning needed? That is the demand of question, to put it in very simple words, and that you do not have to give it in a subjective format. You have to bring out examples that these are the examples which indicate that urban planning is the need of the hour. So yes, examples are whatever knowledge we have from current affairs or of disasters occurring in India in the past 5 to 10 years. So they will be quoted as examples, and that is where the need of urban planning will come up. We'll also have a small way forward paragraph in the body paragraph 2, and then we'll conclude. So yes, introduction basically gives some data that how urbanization is increasing, how the number of people staying in urban areas would be increasing. In fact, the previous budget, that was your budget for 2022 and 23, it laid out a roadmap to prepare for urbanization, it focused on tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So all this information would be given in the introduction itself. So India witnessed unplanned urbanization in the past decades. That's right, this is something that you need to highlight, and here you can give reasons also: unplanned migration, people moving from rural to urban areas, or people trying to establish themselves in peripheral areas of major cities, availability of jobs only in small pockets. So you can also write reasons here, but that is your first line, that yes, unplanned urbanization has happened in the country in the previous decades. It was very much unplanned. It is envisaged that half of Indian citizens would be living in urban areas by 2047. So 50% of your population would be living in urban areas by 2047. So you need to cater to the needs of these people as well. Urban policy has a major role to play in deciding the fate of citizens. That's right. In fact, the union budget, understanding the importance of urban policy, laid out a roadmap to prepare for this, where reforms in mega city governance and facilitating tier 2 and tier 3 cities was a focus area. So governance in major cities, in mega cities, and facilitating tier 2 and tier 3 cities, this was the focus area. So this is all the information that we could give to the examiner with regards to urban planning. Now moving on to directly to the answer. So in the wake of recent disasters, again paraphrasing the question statement, in the past few years, urban planning has become important. It has been discussed by taking the following examples. First of all, give up the example of Joshimath or your Uttarakhand region. That is the example of land subsidence. Land subsidence incidents in hilly urban India are becoming increasingly common, and estimated 12.6% of India's land area is prone to landslides, especially in Sikkim, West Bengal and Uttarakhand. And see, 12.6% is a very large land area. It is very much area when we account in terms of actual measurements. 12.6% is very big. So make sure that you note this data whenever you're appearing for mains. Take help of this data. The next one is land subsidence. That is something natural data that you've given. Secondly, it is increasing because of construction in such a landscape. Construction in such a landscape, it is often driven by building bylaws that ignore local geological and environmental factors. Consequently, land use planning in India's Himalayan towns and the Western Ghats is often ill-conceived, adding to slope instability. So that is the problem here, that all of this is unplanned urbanization, unplanned urban development. As a result, landslide vulnerability has risen, made worse by tunneling construction that is weakening rock formations. Here when we are talking about Western Ghats, you can also give some references to the Kasturi Ranjan report, Kasturi Ranjan committee report, which highlighted that 37% of Western Ghats, it should be declared as ecologically sensitive area and no construction should be allowed there. So that is also allowed, that is also allowed to be written here. You do not just have to focus on the Uttarakhand area only because that is recent. Western Ghats are also very important content for your answer, so make sure that you include more and more points, more and more committee reports and more data and statistics. Third one, flood risk is the second issue. In August 2019, there is this Pallava city in Dombivli, Maharashtra. They experienced heavy flooding as the township spread over 4,500 acres was built on the floodplains of the Mothali river. And this is the case for many cities in India. So this is, whenever we see that levels in the rivers rise, water levels in the rivers or in the nearby lakes rise, we see that water enters many homes or water enters many, big establishments. Why does that happen? Or, a part of city gets flooded from time to time, probably once in a decade, and then consequently happening in the in the coming years. But why does that happen? That is because in the first place, when this development of city was taking place, it was not kept in mind that it could actually be that they were actually building it in the floodplains of a river that was passing by. So it could be the course of a river. River could have been passing by from where that building has been constructed, but since the river has dried up over the past few years, rainfall has not been adequate, so that how the water from river never entered the home or any other building. But now, since there is a lot of climate change happening due to increase in global warming, we'll be seeing a lot of erratic rainfall, and hence whatever floodplains are there of certain rivers will definitely claim their routes or floodplains back. So yes, the third one is floods in Panjim, Goa in July 2021, which led to local rivers swelling and homes being flooded, leaving urban settlements along the Mandovi affected. Again, urban planning was the reason here. Urban planning was the issue. The city was built on basically marshlands. It was once home to mangroves and fertile fields, which helped bolster its flood resilience. Again, in Delhi is the perfect example when we talk about urban planning. So almost 9350 households live in the Yamuna floodplains in Delhi. While the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report of March 2022 has highlighted the risk of Kolkata due to rise in sea levels. So, and you know, whenever all these changes occur due to natural disasters, it's mostly the poor people who face the brunt of it. It's the people who entered the city or started living in the peripheral areas of city at a later stage than the original inhabitants. So urban planning, because a lot of migration would be happening, rural areas, they are becoming vacant with time. So a lot of land would be available there, and urban areas would see a lot of congestion since more people are moving here. Also, the data that you gave in your introduction, that 50% population of India by 2047 would be living in urban areas. So all these points, they establish enough case for more and more urban planning in the country. Obviously, this answer would be updated with time. This has to be updated in your notes as well. So this is kind of a way forward. If you have some words left, if you feel, what you can do is, instead of the conclusion, use this body paragraph as a way forward, or if you can just compress both of them, write both of them. So what we need to do is, the combination of poor urban planning and climate change will mean that many of India's cities could face devastating flooding. Acquiring credible data, that is the first step towards enhancing urban resilience. Second, areas with high disaster risk should not be allowed to expand large infrastructure. There must be a push to reduce human interventions and adhere to carrying capacity. The third one, any site development in hazardous zones needs assessment by a geologist. This is very important here. We cannot be giving lands to builders or to big people who are, or rich people who are involved in this construction business, and they keep on building houses one above the other. Plus with the upcoming of societies and all these divided establishments, for example in the form of flats, where a lot of people, hundreds of people, can live in just small patch of land. With the upcoming of these kinds of societies or establishments, the stress on resources or on land, that is rising in that if anybody is allowed to develop such a system, your geologists have to be taken into account, your disaster mapping has to be taken into account with respect to soil suitability and slope stability, and an evaluation of its potential impact on buildings that are nearby. That all has to go hand in hand. Then in the conclusion, urban India does not have to embrace such risks. Instead, cities need to incorporate environmental planning and enhance natural open spaces. Urban master plans need to consider the impact of climate change. Mentioning climate change and extreme weather events, that is very important here. Urban authorities in India, they should assess and update disaster risk and preparedness planning. So these can also serve as your waypoints, way forward and solutions. Write in a pointer format if you're feeling that the paragraph is very long. Early warning systems, that is your another point, will also be critical. Finally, each city needs to have a disaster management framework in place with large arterial roads that allow people and goods to move freely in case of a disaster. Especially, India's urban journey is not limited to an election cycle. What we do is, most of the politicians, it is seen that whatever planning that they're doing, for example, if they have to approve a hydroelectric power project, That is because, easy electricity would be available to the people of that state, and that is why the local politician gets that approved. But it's not seen that sometimes even the environmental impact assessment is not done. Even if it is done, it is, bypassed. The recommendations are bypassed. The local people do not even know what are the environmental impacts of this dam that is being built. But in the shorter run, people are happy with cheaper electricity rates. But in the long run, who is actually at the receiving end? It's the people, it's the citizens of the country. So what we are trying to do is that their planning should be for multi-generational process, or in a way what we call sustainable development, that should happen, and planning should be for multiple generations, not just for one election cycle only. So yes, that's your full answer for the day. Visit our website rajayesacademy.com for this entire content that was discussed here. Click on the link in the description, look for question 192 on our website in the mains answer writing section. Yes, mains answer writing section, look for question 192. I'll see you with another discussion tomorrow of Seize the Mains at 9 p.m. Till then, just stay tuned to the channel and all the best.